Do you guys remember there was a game we called Beatstar? No? Okay, let me remind you. It was a rhythm game where you tapped to a song and played to the beat. Surely nothing went wrong with the game, right? The game is dead, and so is the community, at least the most of them. What exactly went wrong with the game? The answer to this question is the Deluxe Update. Everybody knows that. This is a topic that we would discuss later in the video. The important thing is, the Beatstar mod is still alive. It always has been. You may be surprised to hear that a portion of the Beatstar community is still alive. They are exclusively on Discord in this specific server. You can download the mod on the server for free and play it today. It might be harder to set it up since you do everything manually, but it is very possible. It also works on both Android and iOS operating systems. Stay tuned for the next video. I'll explain how to install the mod step by step there. The real question is, how did Beatstar manage to fuck up something this big? Let me remind you that the game was downloaded over 10 million times and had over hundreds of thousands of monthly active users. This was not stats for a small game at all. Beatstar was already a giant money-making machine. Why would a company kill their successful product? The actual reason for Beatstar shutdown was low income versus high expenses. As you may know, Beatstar was paying the artists for their songs on a periodic basis for licensing fees. The more songs in-game, the higher the fees they pay. Beatstar had over 736 songs prior to their shutdown. That meant they had to maintain a high income to sustain the game's costs, or they get sued by artists and get bankrupt. This is where the management team messed up. Instead of bringing more user-friendly stuff to the game for players to buy, they decided to push something that would drive away the active players forever. You guessed it, the Deluxe Update. The idea of the Deluxe tracks itself were excellent on paper, a harder and more challenging track. With existing songs in the game, that resulted in more content in-game with already existing songs. But how they implemented Deluxe ruined the concept. First of all, it was overpriced as fuck. 100 deluxe cards, which is 200 standard cards, for only one deluxe track. All of that for a song you already owned. That was impossible to keep up with. Second, and most importantly, it affected the unlimited play. For those who don't know, we used to get permanent unlimited play when unlocking all the songs in-game. That wasn't a hard task, especially if you were a paid player. It felt very rewarding, and it hooked the players to the game, in a good way. With the introduction of Deluxe version, you had to have all the Deluxe songs too for infinite unlimited play. That was very frustrating since the number of the Deluxe tracks kept growing, and nobody was that rich to keep up with 900 Deluxe card every season. Basically, 99% of players lost their permanent unlimited play overnight. And naturally, players lost interest for the game, especially considering the fact that the case system in the game was painfully slow. You had to wait hours for a handful of song plays. The cards from the cases were inconsistent too. If we crunch the numbers, you can see how rigged the case system was. A standard case unlocked in 3 hours and rewarded you with 3 to 5 standard cards, which is an average of 4 cards for 3 hours of waiting. To give you an idea of how crazy that was, let's assume we play the game 24/7 and open cases non-stop. We can unlock a maximum of 7 cases in a day, which is 28 standard cards per day. That's not even one standard song, let alone one deluxe track. This was how players said goodbye to their infinite, unlimited play. Even paid players couldn't keep up after some time, considering the exponential growth of deluxe tracks. People lost interest in the game, stuck behind a paywall that only Elon Musk could pass. Slowly and gradually, Beatstar lost so many active players. Most of the player loss were the general players who played the game for fun. Don't get me wrong, Beatstar community was still unneglectable, and the die-hard fans were still there. Eventually, the revenue from the game fell behind the critical point. There was no turning back after that. That was the green light for the game's shutdown. Unfortunately, restoring the game was impossible at this point. Finally, after a few rough months, on the August of 2025, the news arrived. Beatstar announced that they'd sunset the game on the last day of October. Most of the players already deleted the game at this point. But some players were against the decision, demanding that Beatstar deserves another chance. But the damage was already done. The devs did what they have planned to, and shut down the servers on October 31st. Beatstar was gone overnight. However, this was not the end of Beatstar community. There's still lots of community members active on the mod server to this day. and it's not going away anytime soon. More information about how to install the mod on next video, which comes around very soon. I think this is a good time to announce that it's time to move on from this game, at least on this channel. I may upload other content, mainly Brawl Stars and other Supercell games. I appreciate each and every one of you who supported this channel to this day. And shout out to these absolute legends who covered this game on YouTube for as long as it mattered. I do hope to see you again on this channel, but for now, peace.